I'll feed anybody, but I'm not for everybody. My name is Chef Derrick Green, and I find people that have turned their life's experiences into ingredients they use to feed others. We're redefining soul food. These people have turned their adversities into their advantages. This is the Sauce of Life show, and let's go.
Angie Vasquez. Hello and welcome to the Sauce of Life. The Sauce of Life is about people that have taken their life's experiences and turned those into ingredients that they now use to feed others. It's truly about what are the things, the experiences in your life that have motivated you to where you are today or have pushed or excelled you. With that being said, Angie, introduce yourself to the world.
Hi, I'm Angie Vasquez, and I am a tour director, a photographer, domestic violence survivor, and I travel and try to encourage other people to get outside because the outdoors is a great place for healing your soul.
Okay.
Yeah,
Giving me a place to start. So you were also a veteran, correct?
I am.
Which branch?
I was in the army.
What'd you do in the army?
I was a logistical supply specialist, which just translates into we helped people who are going out into the field how to count their bolts and screws and tires and things like that. So
I've been out of service for a while. Was that a 92 Yankee or what was that?
92 Alpha,
92 Alpha.
Quartermaster, Fort Lee. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Close. I'm that close.
You get close.
Um, Thank you also for opening up with a vulnerability there. If I heard you correctly, you're a domestic violence survivor.
Yes.
So the Sauce of Life is truly about what life experiences have helped you get to where you are now. Because
Mhm.
when we met, my takeaway from you is that you're a person that now uses the outdoors and the beauty of nature to help heal some wounds that many women may be walking around with. And you've chosen Alaska, this
Yeah.
beautiful place, to be able to do that. What prompted that or motivated that?
Um, so I was in a very abusive relationship. It was both physically and emotionally abusive. And um, I began to go outside and just take hikes. Started with me just taking my dogs for longer walks, and then that developed into me going out and hiking on trails. I lived in Las Vegas at the time, and it was my escape. So it was my outlet. It was my way to get away from the things that were happening to me at home. And through nature, I always say that the outdoors saved my life because through nature, I was able to reflect and I was able to, I feel like nature helped me become stronger in a sense. And I was able to get out of that relationship. And in the midst of all of that, I discovered something, a new love. So I fell in love with outdoors, and I felt that it was very important for me to begin to share those experiences with others, not just women, but just with others in general. Um, and I moved to Florida. Um, and in Florida, I wanted to continue my adventures. I wanted to continue hiking and all of those things. So I actually began a group, and it was called Angels Excursions. And I would go out in these meetups and I would be with these people and we'd be hiking. I had no idea what the terrain was and I didn't know anything. And it was mainly men that I was going out with. Not a lot of women out there, which prompted me to start asking why. And it was because women were afraid of the outdoors in a sense, especially women of color. Were afraid of the outdoors. They didn't feel that we belonged in the outdoors. They didn't feel comfortable out there, and so I started a new group, and it's called Girls Who Hike Florida. And right now, I have about 13,000 members in that group. Um, so it's a statewide group, and they go out and they hike with each other. It was created to make a safe space for women to be able to talk about being outdoors and getting outdoors and learn about the outdoors. And so I'm hoping to be able to do that here in Alaska through retreats.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to go from very minimal women up to 13,000, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If there's not too much, I would like to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
And so in the military, one of the things that I had is I was a military policeman, but I was a domestic violence victim advocate.
Okay.
And if you don't mind sharing, and if it's too much for you, just let me know. But
No, it's not.
what was it that motivated you to stay? Because what I find is that there are so many people that are in these violent situations, violent relationships, whether you're talking about physical abuse, emotional abuse, or a combination, a horrible combination of both,
hmm
and they stay. What was it that kept you there?
Well, it's complex, I think. Prior to that, I had never even thought about being in that type of relationship or being with someone that would harm me in any type of way. But now in hindsight, it's more of a deeper I've learned it's more of a deeper thing. And I felt that I was trying to validate myself and that this person was going to do that for me. However, um, looking back at all of the relationships that I've had since childhood, including the relationship with my father, they always say mommy issues and daddy issues. I truly believe that that is a real thing. And because my father wasn't a part of my life, I was always seeking that validation. And as I look back, I realized that every guy that I've been with or had a relationship with, dated or hung out with, you know, um, I wanted to be number one, but I was never number one. There was always someone else. And I just kind of fell in line with that. And so when I got into this last relationship, I felt that I could change that person. In the beginning, I thought that it was just he and I, and then I found out that it was him, myself, and many other people that were involved in that relationship as far as the women that he was going around with. But I felt that no, I have to fix this and I can fix this and I can be better and I can help him to become better when that wasn't true. And I needed to work on who I was as a person, myself, my own individuality. And it just took a minute for me to recognize that and know that. But I thought that I could fix a relationship. I thought that it would be one of those things that like he'll see that I'm working really hard towards this relationship. He'll see that I'm giving all that I can, that I'm, you know, being this loving person and I'm trying to help him to succeed. Um, and I allow myself to fall to the wayside with that situation. And I think that as I started going into outdoors more and more and being able to reflect on who I was as a person, that it kind of showed the light of the true situation in which I was in. And it helped me to understand that I was trying to um, fix someone that, first of all, could never be fixed. And also prove to myself that I could fix the situation. So I think that that's why I say the outdoors saved my life is because I was able to reflect on these things and really dig deep while being outside and and come to the realization that I needed to work on myself before anything else. So my cup needed to be filled before I could overpour and give to others. So yeah.
There's a lot that you packed in there right now, but thank you. So thank you for sharing. And it's not something that is uncommon.
Yeah.
Wait, is that a camera lens cup?
It is. It's a Carolyn's coffee cup.
Dude, that may be the coolest
I'm a
coffee cup I've ever
photographer.
seen. There's a camera lens, dude. That is the coolest cup. Yeah. You know, I had a guest that I was talking with, and we were talking about traumas, and she made a statement about healing past or attempting to heal past relationships with present relationships, and how that's a fallacy. You can't do it. And
No.
so I appreciate you sharing about the absence of your dad and how you were trying to fill that hole, because that's something that is common where people may have had some type of trauma in their early childhood, the absence of a parent, the loss of a parent, and the other, there's a plethora of traumas, but then
Mhm.
they try to heal those past relationships with present relationships. I also hear you saying that you eventually came to the realization that you can't change that guy. And it reminds me of a quote that Oprah has, which says, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them the first time.
Mm.
When you went out into nature, was it something where I'm just curious, this is for me here. Was
Mm.
it more of the silence of nature? Was it the noises, the sounds of nature? What was it about being in nature for you that made it such a cathartic experience?
I think it was a combination of all of those things. Because forcing myself out into nature allowed me to see, and I always talk about this with people when I take them out into the outdoors. It allowed me to see the bigger picture, but in small details, right? So like the blades of grass, or the texture of moss, or the smallest little mushroom. So it made me see the world in a different way, which allowed me to be able to see myself in a different way as well. Um, so I mean, and as a photographer, we're always trying to look into the details and and things like that. But I feel like digging deeper and looking into the smaller details on a larger scale of things. And so it would be that. It would be the way that the sounds of the wind, or just the touch of your feet. So grounding is very important, with taking off your shoes and walking on the ground and grounding with the earth. So I think it's a combination of all of those things, but definitely um, looking into the smaller picture and the bigger details of that smaller picture that kind of helped me.
I think that's beautiful.
Thanks.
Um, I recall years ago I was reading the Tao Te Ching, and there was a chapter that dealt with what you're talking about,
Mm,
spatial relativity, basically.
yes.
And I remember sitting down doing basically a grounding exercise, and I'm sitting, and there was a spider, a tiny little spider that came between my feet. And I was
Yeah.
looking and saying, I could squash that spider. So to that spider looking up at me, first, I don't even know if he can see how big I actually am, because it was such a
Yeah.
small creature. But it was this thing of, to him, I'm like a god. I could end his life right now.
Mm,
And I realized how big I was. But
yeah.
then I looked up, and I see the mountain over there, the mountain ranges,
Yeah.
and all of the forest. And it
Mhm.
just showed me how small I am.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about being in nature, this is what I was curious about, because the way that you phrase it there, that spatial relativity basically is your size. You're being brought into awareness of where you exist in this little tiny thing. And
Yeah.
one of my favorite books is The Alchemist. And one of the quotes in The Alchemist is about how you can tell the history of the universe through a single grain of sand. And it seems like you connected with an energy at that level
Yeah.
when you go into nature.
Mhm.
What does that do for you to now introduce others to that?
I feel like when I take people out, into nature. And and this started way back when I started Girls Who Hike Florida back in 2017. I created like these small courses on how to reconnect with nature because I'm big on reconnection. And I would take them out and we would do these exercises. And one of the exercises that I really love to do with people outdoors is I take a group and we pair off, and one person takes a blindfold and puts it across their partner's eyes, and then you walk them through the forest and you have them touch things and you have them smell things and you have them, without using their eyesight, they have to use their other senses. And I felt like for the women that they really enjoyed that exercise because they said they felt that deeper connection because they weren't able to see what was going on. They were relying on their touch and their smell and what they heard. And they were also working with trust issues because they have this blindfold on and they have a partner that's leading them around to do all of these things. And I think that that's like the biggest thing for me when it's taking out a group or a person into nature is being able to allow them to connect to nature, but in their way, something that's not forced, something that is very natural, something that is going to encourage them to want to get out and learn more about not only nature, but about themselves as well. So, I mean, I have a story of when I was a bear guide and I had this group. There were 13 of them. They were friends. They were blind. And I had to take them on a tour through the forest. And I think this was like one of my favorite tours ever. And I said, well, as you can see, right? And I caught myself because I didn't want to offend anyone. And one of the ladies says, no, you're right. We do see. We just see in a different way. We're not offended by you saying that. But I had to teach them how to see what I saw without them physically being able to see those things. And that kind of triggered me to create that course because I had to walk them through this forest of um, cedar trees and salmon berries and the potential of seeing a bear or, just all of these things that I take for granted. And then I had to take these 13 people, friends, through the forest and teach them about the forest without them actually being able to see the forest. And so I feel like as humans, we are nature, and we get away from being able to relate to it because there's so many things in life that we have to deal with as adults, right? We have to work, we have to provide for our families. There's so many constraints and there's so many expectations that sometimes we forget about being outside and the feeling of when we were kids and we were just carefree and we were running through the grass and we were climbing trees and picking fruit from the trees. And so I just feel that for me, taking people out, it is satisfying for me, but my satisfaction comes with being able to show others what I see. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That is beautiful. Literally giving sight to the blind.
Yeah.
That's an amazing experience to have. Before I move on to that, I just want to make a quick point that you are the only person of color, the only Black person I've ever met, or African American, or however you categorize yourself, that is a bear guide that walks in the forest. And this was one of the things that stood out about you when I met you, because I was like, for years I've told the joke that as I walk in the forest, I've never been attacked by bears because they don't believe in black on black crime. And here you are taking tours of groups of people into their neighborhood just
Yeah.
to go see the bears. What an experience you're giving. But also being able, I wanted to just go back to something that you said there, because a lot of people that deal in spirituality, whether they're talking about God or they talk about the universe, the creator, the hand that guides all, the however they name them, um, that reconnection with nature
Mhm.
and the division. You mentioned a division there, which I feel is brought about by man, right?
Yeah.
It's like everything that you just mentioned was a
Mhm.
man thing. Your job, whatever the career field is that you're doing, to whatever issues you have going on in life, you have all of these distractions that pull you away from the beauty of nature or the beauty of source, where everything came from. And
Yeah.
here you are healing people or helping people heal by taking them back to the source. Was there someone that did that for you, that inspired you to do that, or was that just something that you felt inside?
I just, I mean, I feel like it was just something that I've always felt. I've always been that person. I've always been that girl that liked to be outside. And growing up, I was a tomboy. Like I said, I was climbing the trees. I was doing, all the things. And um, then I was introduced to photography. And I think photography is what put me over the top, because I've had a camera since I was 14, and taking pictures of the outdoors and birds and whatever, plants, and I think that has been pivotal for me, and being able to connect, um, because I can capture it through my lens, and then I can look back on it as a memory, for something that I've done, somewhere I've been, for the perfect tree in the forest that I fell in love with. And yes, I do fall in love with trees. I
Well,
and so, or the texture of something that I saw on the ground in the mud, or I mean, it's just so many things. And photography has definitely helped me to become that girl, that nature girl, because it's helped me to be able to capture it and show it through my lens, and then be able to go back and look at it and say, "Oh yeah, I remember the feeling that this gave me, when I was taking that photograph, or when I was walking through that forest or on that beach." So I think, again, it all just kind of correlates, nature for me and photography, and the feeling, that euphoric feeling of like, wow, this is the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen, until I see the next tree. And I'm like, "Oh, this is the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen." But yeah, definitely. Um, yeah.
I actually feel a little bit sad for people who can't experience life in the way that you do. There are people that will listen to what you're saying and they'll say, "Oh, she's a tree hugger," or anything like that. First,
Yeah.
I'll get up there and hug the tree with you. Second, for people who can't learn to appreciate the beauty in the small things, you mentioned the texture of a tree, or the texture of mud or something like that.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned that, it was almost as if there's a little bit of shame in there, like, "Oh, I appreciate the texture." And it's like, no, at some point in history, the word texture didn't exist, but somebody learned to value that. And so
Yeah.
they came up with a word for, rubbing their hands across things. So
Mhm.
don't knock your love and your passion and the thing that makes you smile.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm thankful that you're here, because there will be someone that watches this that connects with you and realizes that they're not weird or odd or anything like that. Like, yeah, I appreciate you for that,
Yeah.
being able to share that. Um, as you as you move through life, like, what do you find now that it seems like you've realized that there was a hole in you, a void,
Mhm.
um, related back to your upbringing, and now you've found a way to fill that void
Mhm.
with nature. Um, how do you see that proceeding as you continue progressing through life?
Um, I mean, I just wanted to continue, and I just feel that if I continue on the path that I'm going on, I'm definitely fulfilled in life, right? There are so many things that before I felt that I needed in my space, and that would be relationship wise, again, back to like my relationships that haven't been very good. But now that I've learned to create this relationship with myself, right? I'm able to share who I am, but at the same time be able to put up the boundaries that I need to not allow those little whispers and outside voices to kind of get in there. I feel that as I move forward and I become the person who I am, or I embody the person that I am, that I'm able to create better, be a better friend, be a better mother, be able to give a portion of myself to others selflessly and not have an ulterior motive. Because before, when I was in that relationship, that bad relationship, it was a bit selfish, right? Because I felt that I could fix something. Like I was the one that was going to fix it. It's been going on forever, right? But I'm the one. So I was a little bit selfish. And now that I know better, um, I can give more of myself, but I can always also keep some of that to myself and not feel guilty for being selfish in the moment, right? And that's just a part of progress, is being able to recognize what you can and cannot do and then act upon those things. So as I move forward with trying to get my retreat together officially, and life here in Alaska, as we're going into winter, trying to stay sane, pick up new projects and build. I'm a landowner, so I'm trying to build a cottage on my land, and just going out there and being on the land itself and kind of connecting with my own land. It has also allowed me to feel that I'm enough, and that I can do whatever it is that I hope to achieve. I can aspire to be whatever, and I can help others to do that as well. I can tell them and allow them to be themselves and feel comfortable in their own skins and live the lives that they're meant to live. So hopefully with the progression it just gets better and better, and I'm able to give and take, but in a positive manner that benefits everyone around me, anyone who comes into my life. I want them to leave with that sense of, wow, I remember Angie. Because it's all about when we're gone, what is that person going to remember about you? Will they even remember you? And if they do, is it going to be something that they remember as being positive or negative? So I want to be that person that when I'm gone, somebody can look back and say, dang, I remember when Angie did this for me, or when she said this, and I was able to think about it and say, wow, maybe I can do that, or maybe I can be that, or maybe I should think about that a little bit more before I proceed.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Legacy. All
yeah,
comes back to legacy.
all comes back
Well,
to legacy.
I want to just point out for a second that I don't even know if you realize that you've attained a status in life that many people haven't even recognized yet that they're trying to get to.
Mm,
So many people are on their journey and they don't realize yet that they feel like they're not enough, or that
mhm,
they feel like they're not worthy,
mm,
or they feel like, or question whether or not they can do it,
mhm,
meaning whatever it is in life that they're trying to accomplish. So the fact that you can sit here now and say, I am enough and I am worthy and I can do it. Not only that, but you're living Stephen Covey's 8th Habit of Highly Effective People, which is to find your voice and help others find theirs. You've found your voice and now you're helping others find theirs. And so many people can't exist in the silence. What you're talking about relationships. This is one of the things that I mentor on. You're talking about relationships, and a lot of people haven't learned to be with themselves yet. So they always fill that gap with someone else, even if they're bouncing from unhealthy relationship to unhealthy relationship. So I want to hand you your flowers
Thank
and
you.
tell you that you're further along than you may think that you are. It's a beautiful thing. What are you gonna do in this Alaskan winter?
Oh my gosh. So this is going to be my first Alaska winter, right? So I lived in a van for 3.5 years, and I I stayed where it was warm, right? So in the van, I just would go wherever it was warm. But now that I have the property here in the Kenai, and I'm like, I love Alaska. I can't see myself anywhere else. And that's a big statement for me because I've been a nomad for a very long time. But Alaska is the most safe place that I've felt as far as me being here. And I've picked up some habits. So I plan on photography, of course, some winter photography, but I'm gonna dive into painting. So I have acquired a few things for my cabin here, as far as paints and acrylic paints and brushes and easels, and so I'm just gonna dive into some other crafts. They say if you keep going outside of your box, it keeps the mind healthy, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to try something new. I can't draw. I can't draw at all. I'm a photographer. I can put together a composition, but I can't draw, but I'm going to try it. So that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to dive into. And then of course,
It's funny. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no, winter photography. Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off. My
No,
apologies.
no, you're fine.
It's funny that you say, and I hear people say they can't draw, and then we go and find cave art.
Right?
Somebody told that caveman way back in the day, like, put your hand on the wall, and he's like, I can't draw. And now we've traveled around the world taking pictures of
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
this is a buffalo, this is a zebra.
100%. I know, and I said, like, I feel like it's gonna be more on the abstract side. I'm not even attempting to draw people or things. It's gonna be more on the abstract side, and it's gonna be something in nature. But that's what winter looks like, and maybe try to pick up some kind of outdoor exercise, like maybe snowshoeing or cross country skiing. But other than that, I mean, I work very hard in the summertime, so I don't have to work in the wintertime. So I might not do anything. I may never leave this cabin until the snow breaks. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I just kind of pick up on some reading, um, and create for my YouTube channel. So that's about it.
So aside from the desire to have a partner at your
Hmm.
side,
Yeah.
this experience that you have of being alone in the cabin, I'm just thinking about that, and what is that experience like for you? You said you were in a van as a nomad for 3 years,
Hmm.
and then now you're in a cabin on the Kenai,
Yeah.
nature of nature out there,
Yeah.
and you're open to the idea of being alone for the wintertime in
Hmm.
Alaska, in a cabin, in the
Yeah.
Kenai.
Yeah.
What's happening in there? Talk to me.
So, okay, Derek, I don't know. I this is the thing. Like, I'm with people, so I am a tour director. That's what I do for a living. And that encompasses me speaking to people. My tours range anywhere from 3 to 12 to 12 days. I'm with the group, and we travel by motor coach all throughout the state, right? and I'm talking to these people and I'm getting to know these people and I'm, communicating and just this summer I probably had approximately 500 people that are under my care
Congratulations.
for the summer, right? That's a lot of social interaction.
Yes.
So I figure if I'm in the cabin for a couple of months by myself and it's silent, that it's okay
Yeah.
because I've talked a whole lot over, from April through September, so I'm I'm okay with it. And as far as like relationships, for me, I'm not I don't know how to say this nicely, but I'm not really looking for a relationship of
Yeah.
as far as having a male by my side or a boyfriend or whatever, having a significant other because I am good with being with myself. I am happy in my own company. And when I need social interaction, I just call someone and I have friends that I can visit but yeah, for me the thought of being in this cabin is like, wow. I get to explore the Kenai in the winter and then I get to come home and have this silence. Sometimes it's much needed silence. And I'm used to that because I did live in the van and it's a small space and it was just me in that space for 3.5 years. So it's just on a bigger scale. Like in comparison, this is a mansion compared to my
Yeah.
van, right? So from 30 square feet to 450 square feet. It's just a change of scenery, but same principles because even when I was in the van and in the warmth, I was alone a lot. And I don't say alone. I was alone, but I was never lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really ever since I got out of that really bad relationship, I've learned that that's just I don't get lonely. And I like to be alone. And I like interaction as well. I feel like that is a balance. You got to have that balance between the two, and know when to step away from being in that spotlight as far as like me with people and being able to go and center or recenter myself.
You don't
Does that
find
make
it overwhelming when you have 500 people who have traveled to Alaska and are expecting a certain experience, and do you feel a pressure to deliver on that?
Oh, oh yeah. I mean, like my largest group's this past summer was 54. My smallest group is about 17. And everybody comes to Alaska with these expectations of they think that the bears are running across the road in every direction, and there's just wildlife just everywhere. And so they come with these big expectations. And in the moment when I meet them and we have our group conversation, I say, throw all of that out the door. Okay. Like literally, we could be on the road for my max 12 days and you're only seeing about 1% of the state of Alaska. It's a big state. And where do you think that the wildlife would like to be? Out in the wild where they can eat their berries and whatever it is they do, where there's no humans, or right here next to the road that we're going to be driving on? And so I have to like kind of squash those expectations. But then, you know, when they do see a bear or they see a moose or they see an eagle, because people come up for all different things here in Alaska. So that when they do see those things, then they're just like, oh, and they're blown away. Right. And it allows me to be able to, again, show people things in nature that blows their minds. And then they go home and they're like, I mean, I've had people send me gifts. I've had people that still 4 years later, they text me or they'll email me and be like, I remember when, and I feel like that's the best feeling in the world. But the expectation has to be immediately set low bar. So then everything that they see that they love, like seeing Denali or seeing, because I had one person tell me if I see another tree, and I said, well, you're in Alaska. Um, we have a lot of trees here in Alaska. So, I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it can be very difficult. And as for me, there are not a lot of people of color that are tour directors or guides for that matter here in the
You're the
state.
only one I've ever met.
And so I feel like just when I started the Girls Who Hike movement, Girls Who Hike Florida movement, and I was teaching at REI, and I would have these women come in. And so the men started signing up, right? And then they would come into, so they were like, oh, can you teach a mixed class? And I said, sure, that's fine. These guys would come in and they would sit like this, these white men, you know, and critique everything. Well, excuse me, but if I were you, I would do it like, right? And it's the same thing here as a tour director, being a woman and being Black. Because they're like, they look at you and they don't think that you have the knowledge to be able to share it with them, even though they have no idea how it works, right? They don't know anything about Alaska. They're here on a vacation, but when they see me and they see my face, my skin color, it could be hard. I just say it could be very difficult because I have to prove myself a little bit more as far as a tour director, being a Black woman. And there are those men and women as well that are like, well, she didn't know this. And it could be and I always tell people, I don't know everything. Who knows everything? No one knows everything, right? And I will look it up for you. I will find out what you need. I will, so it's kind of hard juggling. It's kind of hard juggling and then trying to meet everybody's expectations. It can be stressful. And thus the winter in the cabin with the silence because of that. It's hard. It's hard to just make everybody happy. And that's just life in general. But when you're with those people and you're there with them and you're at days at a time, you're held to an expectation that, I want them to enjoy themselves. They're on vacation. They spend a lot of money. It's not cheap to come up here. I want to give them the best experience ever. But there are times when, you remember the movie Throw Mama from the Train?
I know the title. I don't remember the
Well,
movie.
the title in itself, that's how I feel sometimes about my groups. I'll just leave it there.
And you can't because you're stuck with them.
Yeah.
You're tapping into something right there. I appreciate that you breached that because it's something that applies all across this country.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that no matter how educated you are, no matter how skilled you are at the things that you do or knowledgeable, you're always going to be questioned and held to a different standard, it seems, than other populations. Not it seems. I'm not going to be politically correct here. You are held to a different standard than other people. I've experienced it. There aren't many Black people or people of color that I've ever met that haven't experienced it. And then you being a woman on top of that, I can only imagine in a state that's never voted blue, how that translates as you're out for days with people in the Alaskan wilderness. And I'm assuming you're by yourself as the guide. So how has that been for you as far as establishing authority and maintaining those boundaries of, hey, I'm the guide, not like I'm some know-it-all. And I appreciate that you said that you don't know everything, but I'm the one that's going to keep you alive and I'm responsible for you now. So fall in line.
So I feel like you have to build rapport. And when I introduce myself, I'm Angie, and I talk a little bit about my background. And I do include things like that I'm a domestic survivor, that I am a veteran. But I also say things like, I have a master's degree in business. I have, you know, I so I want to be upfront and let them know that, hey, I'm educated, right? I I've been in this. I've served this country, you know, and I also talk about being in nature and my love for nature, and that I've been a guide since 2019 here in Alaska. So I know Alaska, and I haven't, and it's not just been here in Alaska, as far as mainland, it's also been down in Southeast Alaska. So I know Alaska. So I have to put everything up front so that they can hear it. And then as we progress on with the tour, I'm able to say, you know, the I can talk about the mountain range. The Alaska range is so many miles. It has this mountain peaks. It's blah blah blah. I can go down to Valdez and I can talk about the pipeline from its inception all the way up to Prudhoe Bay. And then they're able to see that I know what I'm talking about. So I feel like it's like I put it up front and then I show and prove along the way. And then I throw in a little bit of humor to kind of break things up. And if there's someone who's super defined about something, I would like, look, hey, you're here on vacation and you can worry about other things, or you can relax and enjoy yourself. You paid a lot of money to be here. Why would you want to be unhappy the entire time that you're here? Because nothing is perfect in life, including this tour and the places that we go. And a lot of times it's funny because a lot of times they're coming from the cruise ships
Yeah.
for some of them. And they were on that cruise ship and they're like getting their laundry done for free, and they're getting, they're able to eat when they want and where they want, and their rooms are these rooms that they can get turned down. And that again says I'm setting a low bar. When I pick them up from the ship, I'm like, did you enjoy your cruise? Was it wonderful? Did you okay, well, you're in Alaska now, the real Alaska. It's gonna get a little rustic. You might not have a flushing toilet if we stop at a rest stop. I just kind of, we don't have air conditionings in most of the hotels because we don't need them, so I kind of set that bar again. I set that bar low. But when I do have people that are super defiant, I have a driver. So my driver drives the coach. But my management is so good, my company. If I say, hey, so and so keeps doing this and it's over, 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 I have the ability to take people off of tours, which is
Okay.
nice. If somebody is truly, truly abusing me or my driver or someone along the way, we do have that authority, which is good. But I mean, I don't run into that a lot. You do get rude people. You get people that say, hey, where does Sarah Palin live?
Oh,
Doesn't
number
she
one
live there?
question of Alaska.
Yeah. And they come for that. And they have on their red hats, I'll say, their MAGA hats or their full ensemble. And I have to say, you know what? We don't talk politics. We don't talk about politics on this tour, or religion on this tour, or this is about Alaska. So I just have to tell them, and I have to just be. And if I have to keep telling them, then I'll be like, I can't tell you. I can only tell you one more time. Nah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, first, respecting your time, we're at 49 minutes, and I want to make sure that I'm respecting your time. I had an experience once where I took my kayak
Hmm.
out of Whittier, and I went out to go fishing, and I ended up staying out longer than I wanted to. But
Okay.
what happened is I'm out there, and it was a mirror. The
Oh yeah.
ocean, the ocean was a mirror,
Oh.
and I could see the eagles against the mountains.
Hmm. As you say that, there's an eagle flying outside of my window. Go ahead.
Beautiful. Welcome to Alaska, and welcome to the Kenai. And this whale, I remember this whale scared the crap out of me. Just went
Oh.
like this. Man, about because it's just in peace and nothing is moving. There's no boats or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm out there with my fishing pole trying to catch a halibut.
Oh yeah.
And I remember in that moment saying, if I were to die right now,
Mm.
it'd be okay. If he tipped over the kayak and I died right now, this
Mhm.
is the most peace that I've ever felt in my life.
Mm.
You being in nature all the time, have you had moments like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, being out in nature can be painful. And it can be exhilarating. Like I say, I fall in love with nature every single day. And that's just the sway of the trees. That's just there's so many things. But I was in Bali, and I decided I was gonna do a 3 a.m. hike to the top of a mountain to watch the sunrise. Now, as a photographer, I carry too much equipment, and I have my backpack on, and we're out there and in the dark. I have my headlamp, and we're walking through there, and I'm just like, it was just a lot. And we get to this one point, and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore, right? I was like, it was just painful. It's not like our trails. It's just like lava because they have lava rock as well, and I'm thinking I can't do this. This is horrible. Who told me to get up and do this, right? But once I got to the top of the mountain and we were above the cloud line, and I and the sun started peeking through, and the clouds look like the ocean, right? And then the sun's coming through, and it's giving like the pink and the orange and the red rays, and it's turning that cloud ocean into this red ocean, and then the sun's coming through. That was it. I'm like,
Wow.
are you serious right now? Like all the pain that I went through, you just instantly forget about it once you finish, right? But yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of moments like that being out in nature, being in my kayak, being walking up a mountainside or just I mean, I just all the time walking through the rainforest. I feel like the rainforest is I'm definitely a forest girl. And I feel that the rainforest is definitely my place. Like that would be where I would want to be buried. I read about how you can become like a root ball when
Okay.
you pass away, and you can be buried with a tree, and then the tree grows and you help to fertilize. I would love to do that. I feel like that's the way that I would want to go out. I would
Wow.
want to be put back into the forest and become a part of that forest. I feel like that would be the ultimate for me. But yeah, I feel those things every single day when I'm outside. It's that
Beautiful.
connection. Yeah.
Beautiful. You know what? Your appreciation for nature. I know that there will be people that connect with you simply because of how you learn to see the beauty and appreciate the beauty in life of everything. With that, I want to ask you two final questions. First
Okay.
being, where can people contact you?
So I have a website. It's excursionsbyangel.com, and that connects you to all of my social media. I also have YouTube page, and that's Angels Excursions. Angels Excursions is what I use for all of my social media. So that goes for TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. But YouTube, I'm trying to build my followers. I'm at about 4,500 right now. So it's mainly being outside and photography stuff and just random things about nature. So if that's the kind of stuff that you're into, I definitely would appreciate that. Yeah, those are the best places to get in contact with me.
Beautiful. And then final question, Angie, if
Yes.
this were the last time that you and I spoke, or the
Mhm.
only time that someone from our audience heard you speak, what would you want us to walk away with?
Oh, wow. Um, to make the most of what you have, because I mean, it's cliche, the saying life is short, but it truly is. So embody who you are as a person and run with that and allow yourself to just to be in your space and to live your life on your terms and to give, because I feel that not only are we here to learn about ourselves and embody our spirit, but to also be able to share what we have and allow others to use us in a positive way that helps them to become better people, which in terms helps us all to become better on a larger scale.
Beautiful and beautifully said.
Thanks.
Angie V, Ms. Vasquez, I appreciate you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And I
Yes.
hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate you. Thanks.